Hello again. I'm back, and following the advice of some wise commenters, adding more reviews to my rotation. But first, a thank you to my wonderful patrons for making these episodes possible, links below. And let's give a warm welcome to Bardock, who will indeed be staying on as editor! Yay! Also, a quick aside, know that each Gundam series takes place in its own little universe, so you need no prior knowledge before getting into this series. Now then, a quick overview of the plot. We open on the prologue where some basics are established. Humanity is taken to the stars, and there's a massive class divide between the elites in space and the Earthians who are exploited. So basically, Elon Musk's wet dream.
Shots fired!
There is a new prosthetic technology called Gund, which was being used to help people adapt to living in space, but has since been repurposed for military use as it allows pilots to essentially mind meld with their mobile suits, called Gundam. This, however, can end up destroying their minds.
Boy, that escalated quickly.
This fact is being used by the Cathedra organization to justify criminalizing the use of such technology, which is bad news for the people of Ox Earth, a coalition of scientists, engineers and doctors working out on an asteroid and developing Gund technology. I mean, they're all just so nice, with a great sense of camaraderie. They even have a team mascot in the form of Eri, daughter of their test pilot Elnora and Nadim. I won't go into details, save that only Elnora and Eri leave the place. And thanks to said prologue, the song Happy Birthday to You now inspires very different emotions in me, and if I did live reactions, you'd all have seen me break down into tears. The second episode takes place some years later. A girl named Suletta, who may or may not be Eri, is attending a Spacian school. Nearing her arrival, she seemingly saves someone who's floating in the vacuum of space, Million Rimbrand, daughter of the man who leads Cathedra and the Benedict group. Turns out she wasn't drifting in space idly, but had people scheduled to pick her up and take her to Earth. We quickly find out why she wants to escape when it's revealed her father set up rules at the academy, making Miroen a literal prize to be won by the best duelist. Also, that all conflicts are resolved with mobile suit battles.
And you kiss your mother with that mouth?
Due to Miroen's fiancé being an utter bellend, Suletta intervenes and ends up replacing him as Miroen's fiancé. What follows is several episodes that on the surface keep up a somewhat lighter tone of duels and interpersonal drama, however the world building keeps showing how screwed up everything is. Some highlights include Miroen confronting her father for Suletta making friends with Earthhouse and Suletta's mother Prospera scheming, as well as Miroen's first fiancé Guel living out in the woods on campus before going off to be Bob the Builder and become a better person, as well as a heartbreaking segment in the mid-season that we only get the full experience of ourselves while the characters don't. Well, except one of them. I swear, you will never look at Happy Birthday the same way again after this show. Plus Miroen's childhood friend and all his lady friends trying to undermine Miroen and Suletta's new Gundam startup, a distance growing between Suletta and Miroen that is resolved right before the final episode, leaving us on the divide being ripped wide open. Okay, that was quite a summary, but what do I think about the show? In a word, excellent. Like, there's tons of stuff to say on the deeper level of themes and metatextuality, such as the fact that people involved in this series made multiple obvious homages to Utena, which followed a similar set of early premises, or the fact the entire overarching story seems to be following, or at least paying homage, to Shakespeare's The Tempest, or heck, the fact that Gundam users were dubbed as witches, and their main foe is called Cathedra. Witches, cathedral, church, you get it. Also, I swear someone involved in writing this is a White Rose fan. I'm not the only one who thinks this, just check the fan art. But that's all stuff for potential future episodes. This is a review after all. So first up, the voice acting is fantastic. Every voice is clear, fresh and wonderfully distinct, just radiating personality and a style, all their own. Plus, there's a really nice human element to them that seems to be absent in some shows.
全部聞かせてもらったわ。こんなところであんた何願ってんだよ。ごめんなさい。ミオリネさん。わざとじゃ。こら、逃げるな。
The scene direction is also excellent, not just in terms of expert framing and angles or its use of anti-gravity, but also in how body language is utilised. This is especially clear with Suletta, who early on would instinctively use the body language in line with Ariel to reflect her mood or actions, such as kneeling to talk with people because she's used to towering over them. The music is also beyond grand, operatic and epic. I cannot get them out of my head, and they're perfectly timed with every battle and motion. Also, the sound design is just really good, like be it energy blades beaming, walls crumbling, or fan favourite Choo Choo teaching some bullies manners. It's all so satisfying. And of course, the sheer level of skill on display by the animators is just staggering. They do an incredible job conveying the size and power of the battle suits and the spectacularly epic nature of these battles, as well as the brutal and at times crushing speed at which one's destruction can arrive on the battlefield. But let's get down to the final brass tacks, the writing. As noted above, I consider it excellent. However, it is a bit harder to comment on in some areas, thanks to the series only being at most half done. The season finale was great, but also a game changer, which means there's a lot of open-ended stuff to muse on, but not draw solid conclusions about. Still, there is a lot to praise. One thing I especially liked was how effectively they managed to weave in the necessary foreshadowing for everything, from the corporate sabotage to trusted characters being spies and the generally broken nature of society at large, all while managing to balance it tonally with Suletta's seemingly more light-hearted fare. I also appreciate their penchant for zigging rather than zagging when it comes to easy problem generation. In no less than 3 instances, they red herringed us about potential love triangle crap before revealing a twist that solved it or resolving it in story. We also had some wonderful sapphic content in episode 11 with Suletta and Miruen's love languages clashing because Suletta wants to feel needed while Miruen dreaded being a burden. But rather than dragging this out, they actually had a confrontation and dealt with it after a hilarious chase sequence. This of course leads up to episode 12, and while there's been spoilers before this, now we are in Ruby Volume 3 territory, folks, so strap in or get off the ride.
And here we go.
Shadiq has connections to terrorists on Earth, and Nika is working with him, and they are conspiring to ensure Jetta Company's assassination attempt on Delian goes off without a hitch against the will of Shadiq's father. Plus, Prospera is actually working with Delian Rembrandt on a secret project. Plus, Guel accidentally murders his father.
Boy, that escalated quickly.
And alright, Suletta is convinced by her mother that murder is okay if it protects a loved one and literally squishes a guy into red paste to protect Miruen, who is horrified at her groom's sudden indifference to murder. Suffice to say, the last episode was a lot, but I think it was well built up and justified. I'm a touch ambivalent about the fatherhood moments given to the series' worst fathers thus far. While I'm not against depth being shown in villains or abusers, this does feel a bit jarring considering their behaviour up to this point. I'll watch for the fallout during the latter half of the season before saying more. Also, I want to touch on one fan theory, namely that Suletta's "if you move forward you gain 2" mantra is some kind of mind control activation phrase. I think it's plausible, especially given some factors from the voice actor and written novels, but I also think that would be kind of an writing decision. Mostly because it takes away Suletta's agency and it's just less interesting to me. Plus, we've seen Suletta's entire worldview and morality shift on a dime from her mother's words without that phrase before anyway, such as her shifting her entire worldview in Gundam just because her mother provided a somewhat logical explanation. As it is, I don't know what they will ultimately go with, but given the quality of the writing thus far, I think whatever they pick can work. Oh yeah, they also did a great job conveying the horrors of war and child soldiers and trauma yet again! And that's all. If you would like to support my work, please check out my Patreon linked below, or check out my Ko-fi to commission 3D models. Thanks for stopping by.